to you a couple times and with no success, but let's get to it now. What do we need to know today?
Well, third time is the charm. I do have to thank, I mentioned this before, but I'll say it again. I have to thank Robin W. for reminding me of this via our Twitter feed. So thank you. See, this is a collaborative effort. The audience helps the hosts and this news guy right here. Another new date on the stadium tour with Motley Crue, Def Leppard, Poison, and Joan Jett has been announced. The new start date for the tour, it's been pushed up again. This is great. June 18th in Jacksonville, Florida is now the new opening date of the tour. In a legit football stadium, too, TIAA Bank Field, which is where the Jaguars play.
But before you know it, that tour is going to be starting next week.
Right?
Well, that's good. I mean, it's good news. There's one that's doing really well and people are really geeked up about, and people are buying tickets too. So good on them. It's good for rock music. It's great to hear. And now that, like I said, for those that haven't paid close attention, that bill is now 5 bands. There is a 5th band added. A new young artist named Tuck Smith is the opening act before Joan Jett. He from the band Biters, a band out of Atlanta. I've heard the album. The album is not out yet, but on Monday, there's a single. I think the song is called What Kind of Love, and I'll play it on Monday on the Hair Nation show, but it's good. It's sort of like, new modern power poppy sort of stuff. So he'll be on, and then Joan, and then Poison, and then I had heard the other day, somebody told me, and it's probably true, that Poison set's only going to be about 45 minutes. So if you're expecting long sets from all these acts, you are probably not going to get that, except for Motley and Leppard. I'm thinking Motley and Leppard are going to be about 75 minutes apiece, probably about an hour and 15 each.
Have they?
And then I'm hearing Poison's going to be about 45. If Poison's 45, Joan might be 40, 30. And then the opening act, maybe, this guy Tuck, maybe 30, 35. So with all the set changes and what have you, it's still going to start real early, but they're not going to get super extended sets from everybody.
Have they distinctly called it a co-headlining bill between Motley Crue and Def Leppard?
I don't know if that language has been used, but Joe Elliott was on this show and clearly said that it was, and said that they will alternate who closes between Leppard and Motley. And it will not be a straight flip-flop, according to Joe. Joe said it's not going to be one of those deals where, okay, tonight Leppard closed, so that means tomorrow Motley's closing. It's going to be one of these where they just sort of pick what cities they want to close in. Maybe one band feels they've got a little more of a connection to a certain city or something. I'm not exactly sure. But Joe just basically said that if it ends up being 40 shows, 20 of them Motley's going to close, 20 of them Leppard's going to close, and yes, it's equal across the board, which is the definition of a co-headline.
And sometimes you don't want to be the band that closes, because if you go on as the penultimate act, you can be on the tour bus before everyone else is out of the venue.
Yeah, well, I've talked about that before. I mean, there's a level of cachet about being the closing act. It always looks like, the headliner, they closed, they played at night. But you know what? Especially on festivals, if you're at a festival, it's a 2-3 day affair, and you're the closing band. I mean, there's a level of fatigue that sets in with that audience when you're especially at a festival thing. And this stadium deal is kind of like a touring festival. I mean, it's 5 bands now.
They very much.
You can get a level of fatigue from that audience. I've seen it so many times at shows where, especially people get there if you're starting at noon or 1 o'clock and people are out there in the heat and what have you. That by the time the headliner goes on 10:30 at night, they're done. They're shot. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people stream out of a festival halfway through the headliner set. It's late. They're tired. They've been out there all day. A lot of times it's been hot. They want to beat the traffic. So sometimes the best slot is 1 or 2 down from the top. The one thing that's going to be real interesting about the stadium deal, as I've said also before, is the fact that you have a situation with Motley especially, who are known for pyro and big shows, that if Motley is not closing that night, they will more than likely be playing most of, if not all of their set in daylight. Because if you think about it, in the summer, it doesn't really get dark in most places until about 8:45, 9 o'clock at night. And you would think that the last band of the night is going to go on. Most places have an 11 o'clock curfew, so maybe 9:30. Figure a half an hour set change. That means the band on second to last has got to be done by 9. So they'll probably be just finishing up as it's just starting to really get dark. That's a consideration too, which you would want to close because you'd want the benefit of the lighting. And if in the case of Motley, you're using pyro and whatever. But Joe Elliott, because Motley has not done a lot of press for this tour at all. I don't think they've done many standalone interviews at all for this. And I've reached out to them, and they're still not really doing anything about it yet. Joan Jett's done none. Joe Elliott's been out there some. Brett's been out there a little bit. But Joe Elliott said, and if you missed any of that interview with Joe, the last one I did with him, he's been on the show many times, just go back and grab it on the app. But I had asked him if Def Leppard was going to beef up their production because before or after them, you're going to have Motley blowing shit up with flamethrowers. And if Def Leppard were going to try to adjust to that at all with whatever sort of production they put together stage-wise, and Joe said no. So we're going to go out and do exactly what we always do. We're going to play our songs. We'll have cool lighting. We'll have cool-looking stage. That's it. So they're not going to try to go tit for tat where all of a sudden Leppard's going to start blowing stuff up and having flamethrowers. They're going to stay with their approach, which has worked quite well for them up to this point. Hey, let's get another break in. We'll come back. We'll finish up with Ed's news and we'll finish up the show.